everything that has ever been created, from the dinner that you're going to eat tonight, to the pyramids of Giza, to every single building you've ever seen, was created by someone getting clear on the vision of what wanted to create. They got crystal clear on a plan on how to get there, and then they took action. Rick Sapio, very cool guy, he was like an uncle to me. He had this concept called the Doorman Principle. My life is a party, and there's a doorman at the door, and he only lets people in that fit these certain parameters. They need to be... If you don't tick all of these boxes, you're not allowed into my party. And some of those companies have billions of dollars in marketing budgets. They'll get you.
So would you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm 20 years old and married. That's where I like to start, because a lot of people go, "What? You're 20 and you're married?" And I go, "Yeah, this was kind of the norm 80, 100 years ago, but now it's like, it's earth-shattering, right?" So that's where I like to start. By, I think, May or June, we'll have our personal development software company up. So I'm very excited about launching that. I basically grew up in a world of personal development. My dad made a personal development methodology when he was in his late 30s, so 30-something years ago. And I kind of grew up in this world and inside of this sort of universe of, you get clear on what you want, your values, your beliefs, and then you go after it with literally no hesitation. So I would say very personal development-esque for sure. I was brought up in this world. I've known nothing else. I grew up very different from a lot of people, for sure.
That is so interesting. Like, my head is just spinning, like, what would it be like to have this, like, from the second you're born, like this shaping, like those first formative years are so important.
Absolutely.
I know it's never too late. We can always change, like, all through our lives. And when you get this as a young child, it is so powerful.
Oh, it's massive.
So, and I know you told me that you and your father, you like working out and you were watching like motivational videos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious, like, how has that been? Of course, it has given you a lot of advantages.
Yes,
it
absolutely.
Probably makes you see a lot
Very
of
grateful.
things different. And how has that been, relating to friends, people around you when you have like, tell me, I'm so curious.
So I would say probably most people in general, but especially people in my generation, my age, they have never really given their own lives a second thought. They don't really consider what they want to do is a super broad and vague sort of question. A lot of people ask young kids, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And almost every single time, if it's not, I want to be an astronaut. For me, I used to say I want to be Spider-Man, and I'm getting close. We're almost there. But if it's not something crazy aspirational like that, it's just, well, I don't know, and I don't know how to figure it out either. And I've never really had that issue. So when I'm talking to my buddies from back home, a lot of them are just like, yeah, I'm doing this job and whatever, and I'll go to college and I'll study something. It doesn't really matter what I study. I just need to get my parents' sort of approval. So I'll go study whatever it is. I'll get my little degree, and then I can finally start my life. And I'm like, that's a interesting outlook. And a lot of the times it's sort of passed down from generation to generation, right? It's like, well, here's what we do in this family. You do your school, and then you go to another school, you go to college, then you get your degree, and then you get your job, and then you start your family. It's very step-by-step, almost like proven out by parents, and so on and so forth. But the biggest disconnect between me and my wife and a lot of our friends our age is just a complete, like, 180-degree turn, because we know exactly where we're going, exactly how we're going to get there, what we want out of life, and they're just kind of letting life come at them instead of come through them. You know what I mean? So that's probably the biggest sort of disconnect there.
So, okay, so I know that you moved away from where you grew up. You probably don't see your old friends that much,
No,
do
not
you?
really anymore.
No. And what, like, can you just imagine if you were still living where you grew up and that you had your friends around you, how would it be, maybe a weird question, but how would it be relating to you? Do you think you'd still like have stuff in common or hang out?
So a lot of people say that you are who you hang around, right? You're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. I agree with that, but there's also a different side to that coin. It's a two-sided thing. You are who you hang around. Absolutely, that is true. People rub off on you, but you become like who you want to impress. And for me, it was mostly my friends when I was living back in the Chicagoland area, and we would do silly things as you know young teenage boys do, and it was all to basically gain approval from whoever, right? And as soon as we moved away, it was super. Obviously, it was a big change moving from the Chicagoland area to rural Hawaii. But I was kind of stuck, for lack of a better term, with my parents. And then I hung around them, and I sort of looked to impress them instead of my friends. And I guess the answer to your question, it's a really interesting question, by the way, is yeah, it would absolutely be different. I would 100% still have things in common, or at least more things in common with them. And I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. That's like 100% what I believe. And obviously everything happens for a reason. When we first moved, this is a crazy thing, but I was sad about moving to Hawaii. I was like, no, I'm going to lose all my friends and all of these things. But then, like, you know, a few months after we, excuse me, a few months after we got there, I was like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because A, there's no more Chicago winter. I live on the beach. This is amazing. but B, I finally have time to sort of focus on myself. And I was, I think I was 15 at this point. I moved to Hawaii when I was 14, about to turn 15. And then I really got clear on what I wanted to do. And a big thing for me was my dad's always told me that behind every, you know, great man in history, there's a woman driving him, right? Like with Alexander the Great, it was his wife Roxana, excuse me. And with like any sort of historical figure, there's always a woman behind the scenes pulling the strings, so to speak. So a big thing for me was getting super clear on what I wanted out of a relationship and when I wanted that relationship to happen. And when I was 17, I decided that I was going to get married as soon as possible. But it wasn't like I'm going to get married to anybody, because that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah.
It was I have these specific parameters, and as soon as I find this person, we're going for it. And I went back to Illinois to visit some friends, and one of my buddies, his girlfriend knew this girl that she had worked with, and she said, "Hey, I think this lady thinks that you're cute. I could introduce you guys." And immediately I was very skeptical, but as soon as we actually did meet, I went over to his house. She invited her over. We gave each other a big hug, which was odd for me and for her as well. But it was like there was a weird sense of comfortability and almost like we've known each other before this. It was very weird, and I'm not a very like esoteric person, but she loves to say, "Well, we knew each other from past lives, obviously." And I'm like, that kind of does make sense to me. So I met the woman of my dreams, basically, and then a week after that, I said, you know what? I really like hanging out with you, and I don't think I want to stop hanging out with you. You want to go get married? Like, we can go to the courthouse and go get married right now. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And at that point, I didn't realize that you needed to, like, file for a marriage license. So I just assumed that you would walk into the courthouse and be like, this is the one, let's do it. They supply you with your rings. It's not like that. So actually a month and a half after that, so we were hanging out for, I think, 2.5 months or something like this. We ended up getting married out in Hawaii, where I lived. And then she kind of just never left. We've been hanging out ever since, and it's sunshine and rainbows. that was a very long-winded answer to your question.
I love it.
But the answer to the initial question that you asked is yes, absolutely. I would be different. I would still have a lot in common with my friends. I probably would not be where I am today. I definitely would not be where I am today, and the person that I am. So I'm very grateful that everything happened in the sort of order that it did.
It all happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
I love the story about you and your wife, and you're such a beautiful couple.
Thank you.
And I can see that you're meant for each other, and you do complement each other in such a great way. And what you're saying, like, I'm so curious about your friends and the environment, because what I see with a lot of entrepreneurs, people in this field, when they've been here for a long time, like, we develop, like, our view of the world changes. Mm-hmm. Everything changes. And if people around us don't change, suddenly we grow apart, right? Yep. And I've been facing that same issue with at home as well. Like, who do I hang out with? Like, and you have some friends for, just goofing around maybe, or going skiing, or some friends for this and that. I have my personal development entrepreneur friends at home in Norway, and I hang out with them when I want to talk business, personal development. I don't go to the mountains snowboarding with them, for example. Yeah. So they fill like different purposes, to put it like that. And I still think that it's so important that you hang out with people who are on the same mission as you are.
Absolutely.
Going in the same direction, because we will be so influenced by people around us. And if people around us think really small and we want to get ahead, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm still so curious about your upbringing, your life, your background. What would it be like? Because I came from, normal family, normal mindset, and a normal mindset will be slightly limited. Yeah, it will be, because that's the way the brain works, right? So how was it really growing up? Like, what are what's the stuff you learned? How did you apply it? Like, just give me more. I'm so curious.
Okay. So, a little bit of backstory on my parents, because this is really where this starts. My dad had a debilitating anxiety disorder when he was about 30. And it's called agoraphobia. It's basically the fear of situations. So a lot of people are housebound and they can't go outside because they're afraid of any sort of interaction, because there's all of these sort of possibilities. It's the fear of possibilities. Excuse me. And he was completely housebound. This is I think a few years after he married my mom. And his dad bought him a personal development course. I think it was Tony Robbins or Earl Nightingale or something like this. And he got really into personal development around then. And he took every single personal development course that he could. And he ended up documenting all of his learnings inside of this book. And he later found out, or I guess he later discovered, that there's kind of categories in which you can develop yourself. He figured out there's a personal development not personal development. There's a health and fitness category where you can work on your physique and your wellness. There's a character category where you can work on who you are as a person. There's a love category, which has to do with your relationships. There's a social category, which has to do with your friends. There's all of these things. So we ended up categorizing this book, and the way that he beat that anxiety disorder was he would take this book out with him, and whenever he felt these panic attacks coming on, he would look through this book and be like, oh, right, there's this sort of tactic thing, there's this strategy that I can implement right now, and then he would end up feeling okay. And a big mentor that was a driving force for him was Nathaniel Branden. He read a book by Dr. Nathaniel Branden called, I think it was Taking Responsibility. And a funny little quip about that book is that Nathaniel's publisher said, you can't name this book Taking Responsibility, no one's going to buy it. That's like the least sexy name for a book ever.
I would agree, probably.
Right? And funnily enough, not a lot of people bought it, but my dad was one of them. And on the back of that book, or maybe it was on like the one of the last pages, regardless, there was a phone number that you could call if you want to schedule a consultation with Nathaniel. So my mom ended up calling him, And my dad met Nathaniel, great guy. He was basically my grandpa growing up. And Nathaniel Brandon had I think like 20-year-long love affair with Ayn Rand, a great philosopher.
Seriously?
Yeah. So he learned a lot from her. My dad learned a lot from him. So in a way, there's a direct philosophical lineage between me, my dad, Nathaniel Brandon, and Ayn Rand, and her philosophy was objectivism, right? So if it's not objectively true, it doesn't exist, sort of thing. So I was brought up in this environment where it was very cut and dry, so to speak. It was like, if you ever feel some sort of way, you're like, Dad, I'm sad. He goes, why? Do you have examples as to what makes you sad? And you go, well, I don't really know. I just don't really feel good. And he's like, well, there's a recipe for happiness, right? And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, you do what makes you happy. And then you're happy. And I'm like, oh, very interesting. So I was definitely brought up very, very different from most people. I was a very worldly kid. My parents traveled all the time. By the time I was 14 years old, I had traveled to almost 50 countries and lived in 12 of them. So very, very large perspective as opposed to most kids. And the biggest takeaway from being raised like that was just a massive sense of gratitude, because just living in the Western world, and especially America, we are all so lucky. It is crazy. And nobody really gets it, right? Because you don't go to these places where you're around people that are literally starving, living in huts. And of course, when you do things like that, it gives you a massive sense of gratitude for what you do have, right? Because if you're just kind of living in a silo and you never really exit your bubble, you tend to compare yourself, like we were talking about earlier, to people around you, or worse yet, people on social media that only give you the highlights. So something that I found was just a massive sense of gratitude. And when I was 14, my parents had me go on a vision quest, which is basically just like you do a sweat lodge. It's a very spiritual experience. You're up in a mountain for 4 or 5 days with no food, only a notebook and some water. And it's super, super transformative for sure. And that was the way that my parents framed that was like a rite of passage. They were like, this is when you turn into a man. And I was like, I'm 14. But it was awesome. Absolutely. And again, the biggest takeaway from that was just gratitude. I forgot my tarp on that trip, and I didn't realize that it was going to be raining heavily in the mountains that we were at. And the first 2 days, I was living it up in the mountains, hanging out with these wild horses or whatever. It was absolutely beautiful. And then the last 3 days, it was pouring rain. So I had to take pages out of my notebook to try to use them as waterproofing in my tent. Everything was wet, everything was cold. For like 36 or 40 hours, I was just cold and shivering. And and then the guy who put me on that vision quest, his name was Manesh. He's a super cool, big Frenchman guy. He walked up the mountain and gave me a banana, and he gave me a new tent and a new sleeping bag. And I've never been more happy to A, eat a banana, and B, see anyone. I was like, you are the best person ever. Oh my gosh. And it gave me a lot of perspective into sort of what happens when you are completely sort of away from the reality that you know. You're completely dissected away from that. It gives you a brand new perspective on things. As soon as I went back to where we were staying, I was like, wow, I'm so happy to be inside. This is awesome. And before then, I was just like, yeah, it's whatever. We're in a room. Who cares? I would get mad if the AC didn't work or something like this. And I was like, we have running water? Oh my gosh. Like this is magical, literally. So, biggest takeaways from my childhood. Again, sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, go ahead. That's so interesting.
Lots and lots of gratitude for everything in my life. Absolutely. I've been given so much, and just the trajectory that this life path has set me on is absolutely fantastic. And also very, very, very objective. Everything was super, it's either this or that, it's binary. And the way that my dad explains this is sort of, it's a law of the universe, this sort of binary up and down, 1 or 0, yes or no thing. And that was another big one for me. So just very, very grateful. I'm objectively grateful is what I would say. That's the biggest takeaway from my childhood.
I mean, that is so huge. And I know, and probably the listeners also know, that gratitude is one of the key ingredients to everything, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, like last night, we had a conversation and you blew my mind, because a lot of people are just like focusing on all the bad stuff that is happening in the world. And it's easy because you open your phone and what do you see? It's like all the negative news, all the stuff, the bad stuff happening. So our minds easily think that the world is just crazy, that there's only bad stuff happening because the news doesn't really report the good stuff, right?
Exactly.
And I love the way you said that we are living in the most magical time. Mm-hmm. You can just pull up your phone, press a button, you can have food delivered to your house. And that coming from a 20-year-old, because, yeah, I'm older than you, and I've still gotten so used to all this technology, all these possibilities that we have, that I take it for granted.
Right.
And here you are, you're just like, we're living in the most amazing time. It's so magical. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, this is a concept that I called, I came up, or I guess I discovered this in I think it was late last year, probably maybe 6 months ago. I call this concept value cubes, and you'll see why in a second. If say I'm an online business owner, I wake up in the morning and I check my phone, and there's a bunch of notifications that say, you've helped X amount of people, and now for that, you have been given X amount of value cubes, or whatever currency you have. You can then go on this little magic box and press some buttons and have someone literally give you things because you have given them value cubes, right? It's a very interesting, it is... If we went back 60 years, this would be magic. Oh, I wake up in the morning and I get a notification on my magic box and I press a few buttons and now there's a guy delivering me food. People would go, are you crazy? Is it what? Right? So it's super interesting to just a little perspective shift, if you will, and then being like, wow, we live in a magic time. I think Einstein said technology sufficiently advanced would be indistinguishable from magic, and that is where we are right now. Like the people watching this are probably sitting at home and they get to listen to a conversation that we had in the past. Yeah. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's super wild. And I feel like not enough people kind of instill gratitude in themselves and in the people that they're around. And something really interesting about that emotion or character trait is that if you're ever feeling any sort of negative emotion, whether it's envy, nervousness, sadness, depression, anything, gratitude is the inoculation to that emotion. If you feel mad because you're not, doing enough, you go, well, I'm happy that I have a house. I'm happy that I have a family. I'm happy that I can work. I'm happy that I have the privilege to have these problems that I have, right? And it immediately cures your sort of negative emotions. So that's I completely forgot the question that you asked, but I hope that answers it.
Absolutely. So do you have a daily gratitude practice? Or is it just so ingrained in you?
I mean, I would say I probably should have a daily gratitude practice, but I just try to keep it in my head at all times. Just be happy where I am, be grateful about all the people that I get to spend time with, and where we are. It truly is the most magical time to be alive.
It is, and you just opened my head to that yesterday. I'm so grateful because it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole of everything is wrong, the world is falling apart.
Oh yeah.
And we're living in magical time, and
Absolutely.
change is gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's so
100%.
So yeah, I'm with you. I also think that it's important to have a daily gratitude practice. 100%. I do think that the small habits that we incorporate every day really does have a great effect.
I'm a big believer in that.
So I had my years where I was like, gratitude practice every morning, and then I was like, I don't need it. Mm-hmm. Famous last words, right? Yeah. So I don't need it. And like, I do, like you, have a really positive mindset, driven. And I noticed that, I was not doing any of those practices because I thought I didn't need them. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you can go a long time and you feel fine, right? And then when you get the taste of what it's like when you do the little extra work, it's like, okay, now I get it.
Yep.
Change isn't linear. It's a process, and you learn every day. I've created an audio file that reprograms your subconscious mind to fall asleep faster and stay asleep and go through all of the sleep cycles you need to go through throughout the night. Just click the link below and you can download it so that you get that extra little help and can get into really good sleeping habits. The thing is, we can't, in my morning routines, they're always changing. I don't think we're meant to do the same stuff all through our lives. And I'm curious. I want to check out new techniques, and I add and take away stuff, and it's all based on periods. And still, gratitude is now it's going to be a part of my daily practice
100%.
All through my life. And I agree that it's not only what we do 5 minutes in the morning or in the evening. It is all through the day. I'm here with you now. We're recording this podcast in Phoenix, Arizona. Everything just happened for a reason. We're meeting awesome people. All the dots are connecting. Gratitude.
Yes.
Looking at the sunset, gratitude. I think it's, I think we need both, the daily habit, and it doesn't have to be long, and we don't need to do it all the time. Sometimes we just fly through life and it's all good. Mm-hmm. And when we can add those small things, I think it helps us to be more on the path that we want to be. Because, as you say, gratitude, it is really everything. It raises our vibration. It helps us deal with everything. Yeah, and I know, so have you ever experienced being in a place where you're like, oh, I should feel gratitude and I can't? Or, tell me about that.
Yeah, I definitely have, for sure. And there are situations where for some reason humans have this when we go through some sort of a hard time, we go, no, I want to sulk. I want to sit in my dark room and just be sad for a while. But the best thing that you can do when you're in a situation like that is either change your environment or change the way that you look at your environment, right? So both of my grandfathers passed away last year within 7 months of each other, and that was pretty rough for me and my family, absolutely. And just changing my perspective from it's not fair that I didn't get to spend enough time with them to, well, I'm happy that I got to meet them anyway. Immediately shifted, and instead of feeling sad that they're gone now, I was happy that I got to spend time with them in the first place, right? And Alex Hormozi has a really interesting sort of take on this. He had a cat that died after, I think, a year and a half of them having the cat, and he was super close with this kitty, and he was like, well, He should have lived longer. It's not fair. Cats aren't supposed to die this fast. This is ridiculous. And then he changed that mindset to, well, what if the lifespan of cats was 2 months? Whoa. I got so much more time. I got so much extra time, right? And it's just really interesting, the little shift in mindset or I guess perspective changes everything. You're like, oh, I'm so grateful for the time that we have now and the time that we had, right? Yeah. It's pretty major.
It is. And I love what you said about that. We humans, sometimes we just want to, dig our own grave and just I'm miserable. I don't want to stay here. And sometimes that's, that's valid. Sometimes we just need to be there. And what a lot of people do is like they go there and they stay there, right? Because they don't understand that they have a choice.
Exactly.
And I think it's like I also have those moments where I'm like, okay, I just like I feel bad and I need to feel this feeling, and you know, I hate everyone, and like not so often now, but I remember that from when I was your age, like I was not in the same headspace I am now, to put 100%. It like that. So I could have like times where I'm like, nobody understands me, I hate the world, and you know, I think everyone can relate to that. And I was even thinking about writing a book because I was so angry. I'm glad I never did. I never put that out there in the world. So I think it's very human, and that when we realize that we actually have a choice, it's okay. Like if we start hitting ourselves in the head because we go down that rabbit hole, it only makes it worse, right? So it's all about acceptance. We're humans, and it's okay. Like we will end up there. It's fine.
Yes.
The thing is, we have a choice. How long do we want to stay there? And I love what you said. Like there are two things we can do. It's, you know, change how we view it. It's like a reframe, like just view it from a different perspective, or change environment. And I find like with myself, sometimes if I'm really deep in like, everything sucks, it's easier to change the environment.
100%.
Be around people, like, because if you're alone, it's so easy to just like stay in that same headspace. Definitely. And then you go out and you meet awesome people and you're like, oh, okay. And you get right back on track.
Absolutely. And it's important to keep in mind that no one has anything figured out. Nobody has any clue what we're doing. I learned this in business especially. We were at a mastermind in Maui. One of our friends had a little event out there, and graciously he invited us because we were on our way to Arizona anyway. And I was talking with this guy who was in the I think he's in construction, and basically he has two companies where one of them helps with after a building's been demolished, they come and remove all of the waste. And then his other company is a cleaning company. So one of them removes all the waste and the other one comes in and makes it look all pretty. And he basically told me everyone in business is winging it. Like no one has any clue what they're doing. We just kind of look and see what's working and then do more of that. And I was like, that kind of sounds familiar to what we're doing in life. In general, we go, what's working? Okay, well, this is working, these two things aren't working. Let's do more of this and less of these two, right? So it's super important to keep in mind that no one really has any clue what they're doing. Some people have a better clue than others, but in the grand scheme of things, like especially in personal development, there's a lot of courses and methodologies that go, this is one size fits all, this works for everyone, and it is this way. And a quote that I really like by one of my buddy's grandmas said this, just like in passing. She said, nothing is ever just one way. And I was like, that's deep, Grandma. Wow, that's crazy. And it's absolutely true. Nothing is ever just one way. It's most likely it's more ways than two, right? Like I think there's a saying like there's 100 ways to skin a cat. Wild saying, but still it is true. There's 100 ways to do anything. So it's important to keep that in mind for sure.
I so agree. And I think people just have a need for certainty because they're so insecure on the inside. So they're like, it has to be like that or that. It's black or white. And nothing is ever black or white.
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from a few universal laws that we spoke about earlier.
Exactly.
And apart from that, it's not black and white.
That was a big shift for me just because, and my dad especially, because we sort of, I grew up in this like objective universe where it was one or the other, it is black or white, and nothing is ever just one way. It's not just this or this, unless we're talking about, of course, like a few universal laws like cause and effect or the law of vibration or something like this. But it was a massive shift in my perspective going, oh, okay, well, there are more options than just two. Yeah. And not making a decision is a decision in itself. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's an infinite amount of possibilities. Like free will exists. You can do whatever you want, right? So you may as well do the things that make you happy.
So huge. I mean, you had this seed planted in you since you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Do what makes you happy. And what I find when I work with people and talk to people, whoever I communicate with, they're like, is there anything that makes me happy? What would that be? Like, people are not even in touch with it. And I think there's like, the more personal development is spread now, people understand that, okay, I should be doing what is making me happy, and I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I would say I have a pretty interesting perspective on happiness in general. It's for me at least, it is my baseline. If I'm not in existential danger, if I'm not mourning a family member who just passed away, or any of like those extreme feelings of dread or depression, I'm happy. Even if I don't feel elated, I'm still happy. Like, that is, if I don't have glaring problems in my life, there's nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? And everything that there is to worry about is either made up or barely even matters anyway. So it's important to keep in mind that if I don't know, say you're at a 1 or something, that's happiness. When you go up from your baseline, that's elation, and those are two very different things. If you're like very excited because you just won a trophy or whatever, it's different from happiness. Happiness is a feeling of fulfillment, and I guess this is a circular definition, but I'm happy where I am. You know what I mean? I'm excited to be me, which is completely different than I guess like situational happiness or circumstantial happiness. This and this and this and this have to happen in this order, or else I will not be happy. That's just not how I look at it.
I so agree with you. And I think that most people in this world believe that happiness is this excitement, like it's Christmas, or I got this thing, or it's just like, I think, or at least from my experience, people have an expectation like that this is what life is going to be like. It's going to be like a birthday party every day. Like, I'm like, happiness is this really elevated emotion.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that it's not like, yeah, we can still, like, something great happens and we can allow ourselves to be, you know, feel really great about it and enjoy it. It's not physically possible to be there all the time.
Exactly.
It is really taxing for our system to produce all those happy hormones.
What goes up must come down.
We're not meant to be there. And I think because of, you know, marketing and Hollywood and like all, we have this idea that life is supposed to be perfect and you're laughing and happy all the time. And I believe, and I'm curious to hear what you think also, that because this is the expectation, when people are not like that all the time and when they have negative emotions, because in my view, you can still be fulfilled and happy and have negative emotions because it's part of being human. And if we don't accept those and we're like, oh, I'm feeling a feeling today which I don't like, that means there's something wrong with me. And then that starts that rabbit hole, going down that rabbit hole. 100%. What are your thoughts?
Really quick before I answer that, it's interesting that you brought up the sort of like Hollywood marketing for this, and what I've sort of observed is that if you don't have a clear life vision and you don't know where you want to end up, there are literally thousands of corporations that want to advertise to you and literally change your behavior in order for you to buy their product or whatever it is. There's like a statistic, or I guess whatever you would call this, a factoid that says if you walk into an average American grocery store, you're hit in the face with like 30,000 like pieces of information that all want you to do a certain thing. And if you don't have a decision-making framework to get to where you want to go, the chances of you being influenced by those things are much higher. But to answer your question, I think that it's absolutely right that people have a almost false idea of what happiness is. It's more of a state of being than an emotion. because you can, of course, you can feel happiness. I'm not saying that's not true, but you can also operate just from that frequency by default, right? And that doesn't mean, like you said, I'm always at a 10 every day. It's just when there are not terrible things going on, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm fine. You know what I mean? So just the sort of reframe from circumstantial happiness to just having that be your sort of default setting, that helped me a lot.
So huge. And okay, so this was so interesting what you said about going into the supermarket. There are all these bits of information, all these companies that want to hijack your perspective, your identity. They all want to sell you a belief that when you just do this or buy this product, then you'll be happy, then your life will be perfect.
And some of those companies have billions of dollars in marketing budgets. They'll get you.
They will.
Like if you don't know where you're going, they're going to get you. So you better figure it out. Sorry, keep going.
No, yeah, because this is so huge, and this really ties into what I see is your life's work, your life vision, like what you want to give to people, right? So bring us further into that part about why it is important to know what you want in life to look like, and how you actually get about to figure that out. And also, I would love to get deeper into the state of the world, how most teenagers and young people live their life now versus your life.
So for most people, and especially teenagers, a lot of them don't really understand, let alone the actual strategy on how to get clear on their life vision. They don't really understand the importance of it. They go, oh, well, why? Like, what's the reason? Here's the reason. Everything that has ever been created, from the dinner that you're going to eat tonight, to the pyramids of Giza, to every single building you've ever seen, was created by someone getting clear on the vision of what they wanted to create. They got crystal clear on a plan on how to get there, and then they took action, sometimes every day, right? Or I should say most times every day. But it's this almost universal equation for humans that is vision plus your plan multiplied by your action equals transformation, results, or manifestation, as some people call it. I don't like that word because it's a little bit fuzzy and it means a lot of things. But the importance of a life vision is that, A, you have a decision-making framework. You know exactly what to say yes to and what to say no to. If this doesn't get me closer to my goals or my life vision, I say no. And I have no problem saying no, because I'm my own person. You know what I mean? I have complete sovereignty over myself. And an interesting concept that my dad's buddy that passed away late last year, his name was Rick Sapio, very cool guy. He was like an uncle to me. He had this concept called the Doorman. It was called the Doorman Principle. And it was basically just, in my life is a party. It's a conceptual party, and there's a doorman at the door, and he only lets people in that fit these certain sort of parameters. They need to be incredibly grateful. They need to be driven. They need to be this, and this. And if you don't tick all of these boxes, you're not allowed into my party. That was basically the deal. So controlling who you are around helps a lot, but the importance of a life vision is obviously a decision-making framework, and it's for everything. What you eat, who you hang around, what you do, all of these things. And from there, you can develop a plan to get there. Say you want to be an investment banker or whatever. Your plan would probably be go to a finance school, get out of school, join an internship, work your way up the ladder in whatever firm you're at, and then eventually become a managing partner of the firm or start your own, right? And if you have a crystal clear life vision, is what we call it, it's really quite simple to reverse engineer what you have to do in order to get there. And a lot of the times it's not 100% accurate. Actually, every time it's not 100% accurate. So I'm not sure how much I can say about this because it's quite secretive,
Ooh.
but we are working on a software right now that basically does that whole process for you. If you put in your life vision and as much information as possible about you, say your birthday, how tall you are, what's your weight, personality assessments, all of these things, even your astrology, for example. This system using AI can kind of create a profile of you, right? So it knows sort of what your risk tolerance is. It knows how ambitious you are. It knows all of these things about you. You give it your life vision, and then it can distill from, say the investment banker example. It can distill, well, you live in the Chicagoland area, so you should probably go to the Chicago School of Finance. From there, you can join all of these internships in Chicago, or if you would like to move, you can go to here, you can go to here, you can go to here. And it breaks down your foundational goals, which are the goals in which your life vision rests on. If I do these 4 things, if I get my dream physique, my dream job, my dream dream wife, and whatever else it may be, I am living my life vision. It distills those, let's say 3 to 10 goals, and from there breaks them down into what we call milestones, which are basically the big rocks that need to be moved. And then from there, your daily habits, which is truthfully all that matters, because you can't work on these large goals. All you can do is actions today, right now. Like the past and the future exist. They do, but the only thing that we can do to influence the future is what we're doing right now. So pulling from your life vision, creating some goals, and then from there your daily habits, all that's left is action. Remember, vision plus plan multiplied by action equals transformation. So if you get clear on your life vision, develop a dynamic plan, or use our software to do so, all that's left is taking action. All that's left is doing those few little habits that you have. And for a lot of people, that's way easier to digest than going, well, I got to do all of these things. The issue is not that people don't have enough time. Everyone's busy doing mundane things that don't push their life forward, right? It's just replacing some arbitrary thing that you feel like you need to do, like making your bed, for example, with, a gratitude ritual or something like this will change your life faster than you think. So that, in a very long-winded response, again, is the importance of getting clear on your life vision and what will happen as a result of it if you create a dynamic plan and take action on it every day.
Wow, so huge. And having a vision, knowing in which direction you're headed, is vital.
Absolutely.
mean, we are meant for movement. We're meant for progression. If we don't have a goal that we're moving towards, in my view, we can't be happy.
Exactly.
And of course, happiness isn't only about moving towards a goal. It's also about gratitude, which is here and now, which are 2 completely different systems, actually. It's two, moving towards a goal, having a vision, that's dopamine.
Yep.
Being here and now, it's serotonin, oxytocin. So it's 2 completely different systems, and we need them both.
Absolutely.
And when we're clear about our vision, that will make it easier to do that daily stuff.
Yeah.
We spoke about early today, like when some people say, okay, I just want to go to the gym because I want to look like this. And it's not really based on anything more.
Yeah, it's surface level.
It's surface level. Then the motivation won't be there in the same way as when it's your vision and you're really gotten clear on what it means to you, why you want to get there, and it's aligned with your values.
Yeah.
That will ignite that intrinsic motivation, which will make it so much easier to do those habits.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Getting super clear on your purpose, why you want to achieve this goal or whatever. A lot of the times, people, just in my experience, they find out that A, they don't really know why. They're just kind of doing it because they think that's the thing to do. B, it has something to do with their childhood. Like, I didn't have enough money growing up, so I need to make all of this money, and you don't really have a set number or whatever it is. Or C, they kind of design their own purpose because either they didn't have one or they had one that was flawed. And like you said, it ignites the fire of intrinsic motivation, and it's a much bigger why. And that helps people to, get out of bed in the morning and do all these things.
Yeah. It's so huge. Like, we know setting goals based on intrinsic motivation, aligned with your values, it's one of the best techniques to build motivation and focus. And we know it's good for your health and you will be fulfilled. So why are let's look at the young population, because that is like literally who you represent. Although I feel like when we're hanging out and talking, we're talking like I can talk to you about everything. You feel so mature and you're mature, you're wise, and you're clever. And so I spoke about another couple to you last night that are just like that. They're in their 20s. They're married, they have a house, they're traveling, they're travel influencers, making a lot of money, and they can't relate to their friends anymore because they're they have clear goals, they have visions, they know exactly where they want to be. And so they hang out with, me and the rest of the mastermind we're in, and, it feels like, so it's not about age really, it's about mindset. So, so but still, Justin, let's dig into the heads of the younger population, because when I grew up, we didn't have social media, we didn't have all that stuff hijacking our thoughts, creating expectations. We didn't have that much pressure from the outside world shaping our thoughts. There is still something, of course, and we're always influenced by what other people think, because we think that we need to live up to the expectations of the outer world in order to be valuable, right? So, so what can we do with the younger population today, and where are they at in terms of vision, direction, or just big question, I know.
I would say that's absolutely right. I think I can handle this. I would say number one, get them off their phones as much as possible, because there's a massive influence on young people through social media and things like this. And we met at an Evan Carmichael mastermind, and something that he taught me was, you are a product of your environment, but you don't even necessarily have to get out of your environment. You can watch a video and change your environment, right? Yeah. If you sort of, I have the power with my phone to feel sad, happy, depressed, excited, every single emotion on the spectrum, right? At the click of a button, literally. So why would I choose to be sad, right? It just doesn't really make sense. So limiting your exposure to things that change your emotions for the worse, and a lot of that has to do with your phone, for sure. Number two, be in nature as much as possible, even if that's just going to a park near your house or something like this. Be in nature as much as possible. Develop a good network of friends that are like-minded, for sure. In terms of where kids are at with their vision or something like this, again, it all really comes back to the why. It's everyone would like to make more money. Everybody would like to be more in shape. But the big differentiator between someone that just is I'd like to be in shape, but I'm not really going to go to the gym because I don't really care, versus someone that wakes up every single day at the same time and goes to the gym and does the work, is their why. There's a story about this. This was before my time. I think this was when my dad was about my age, so it must be 40-something years ago. Mike Tyson was the heavyweight boxing champion. No one had ever beaten him. He's this super scary guy. He beats everyone within a minute. Terrifying dude. He was set to fight Buster Douglas. And Buster was a really good boxer, but no one was as good as Mike Tyson. And his mom was on her deathbed a week before the fight, and the last thing, or at least one of the last things that she said to him was, "You have to beat Mike Tyson." And then she dies, right? He was the first person to ever knock out Mike Tyson because his why was bigger. Mike just said, yeah, I want to add another jewel to my belt so I can be the champion for another however long, a year or 6 months. And Buster's why was, I need to fulfill the promise that I gave to my mom right before she died.
Goosebumps.
Pretty powerful, right? So getting super clear on your why and sort of trying to engineer it in a way that no matter if you're happy, sad, depressed, or what, you will go after this because it is truly what you want and you know exactly why. That is, it's the biggest differentiator between people. A lot of people are like, oh, you're motivated or you're ambitious. It doesn't really have anything to do with me. It has everything to do with what I'm striving towards and why, right? So getting clear on your why and your vision is of paramount importance, especially in today's day and age, because like we said, there's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 corporations with their marketing departments aimed at your head, trying to influence every single thing that you do, where you drive, where you eat, how you walk, all of these things. So I would say that the biggest reason why kids my age are struggling is because of social media. And if you can limit your exposure to the negative side of these social media platforms and sort of optimize for your exposure to the positive side. Like I learned almost everything that I know about business on YouTube. I learned a lot of stuff from my dad as well, but almost everything. I spent 2.5 years every single morning studying for 2 hours, just watching YouTube videos and writing stuff down. And like I was talking to Evan Carmichael about this. The best teachers are not in university. The best teachers are on YouTube because you learn from people that are doing the things, right? And my dad and my wife's dad shared this same sort of quote in common, and it's really funny. It's if you can't do, teach, and if you can't teach, teach PE, which I think is hilarious, right? And it's also somewhat true because if you tried to get into, example, finance or whatever it is, and you couldn't really make it to the pinnacle of your industry, chances are you'll have a job at whatever college or whatever sort of school there is near you. But instead of learning from people that tried to make it in the industry and couldn't, learn from the people that have billions of dollars in assets under management in this finance example, or if it's health and fitness, learn from the people that have the physique that you want, or if it's love relationships, learn from the people that have the relationships that you want. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people sort of struggle with this just because they don't really know where to look. You can look up anything on YouTube. You know what I mean? Anything. And it's not even just YouTube. It's on all social medias. You can look up whatever you want. It's your phone can take you to heaven or hell, but it will not replace you as the driver. That's the deal. Yeah. And I've made it a conscious practice to, every time I pull out my phone, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. Because if I don't, I get taken for this crazy ride and I'm scrolling Instagram for like 2 or 3 hours. And then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I just lost a 3-hour chunk of my life. Huh. Wonder what else I could have done with that time. So I would say, in short, the biggest issue that kids my age are facing is just aimless consumption of content on social media instead of clearly defining what you want out of life and then learning the things that will help you get there.
So important. And how do, to parents who are listening now, like how do we help kids to motivate them into actually turning away all that empty stuff? And, you know, if you want to be on the screen, do like you did, go on YouTube and search out something you can learn. Like, how do we actually make them understand? I have kids myself that are 13 and almost 15. And like, how can we as parents, do you think, influence them to make better choices when it comes to how they spend their time?
Well, it all starts with what they want to do, you know, because if it's just like, if you're sort of trying to force your kid into this cookie cutter thing of what you want them to do, it'll never work because that's not them. if you ask them, hey, Jimmy, or whatever, what do you want to do tomorrow, the next day? What do you want to learn about? Chances are they'll have some answers for you, right? And if you listen to that and you go, okay, what resources do I have? All of the internet's at your disposal. You may know some people in real life that can actually help you with this. It's a lot easier to sort of help your kid make better decisions when you know, again, their decision-making framework. If you help them figure out a vision for their life, that gives them a decision-making framework to then make the proper sort of choices. And then as a sort of byproduct of that, they will spend less time doing meaningless things and more time doing meaningful things.
So huge, and that's tapping into the intrinsic motivation.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, oh, my thoughts are racing. I'm thinking about my kids. So like my girl, she loves crochet. And when she goes on social media, it's only to like learn new, or not only, but like that's like, she spends most of her time learning, new techniques.
Right.
And my son, he's into flying, and he spends most of his time, like with the flight simulator. He loves that stuff. So I'm like, yeah, and he also spends a lot of time just mindlessly scrolling on TikTok.
Right.
But I understand that the accounts he follows are related to the stuff, to his interests. Mm-hmm. He's interested in sneakers. He's interested in flying, riding his bike, doing all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm gradually now seeing that, okay, some of the time they're spending is it's not really a waste of time because they're actually learning. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, so a lot of kids don't know what they're interested in. Maybe they don't have any interest. They don't know where they want to go. And what questions did your dad ask you? Do you remember, to like sort of pull that out of you, so that you could get in touch with your interest? Or if you don't remember, what do you think would be good questions that parents could ask their?
So I'd say a great question to ask your kids is, well, you don't even necessarily even have to ask them a question. You can just observe what they do, or better yet, observe what they did when they were younger. And a lot of the times it's pretty obvious, right? Because if like for me, I used to do lemonade stands with my sister. We would make lemonade and then go out to the corner of the neighborhood where there was the most car traffic and try to sell lemonade. And my dad saw, he was like, there may be the very beginnings of a businessman here. And I was like, no way, dude, I never want to be a business guy. But that's exactly what I was doing. So just kind of observe what they're doing and then help them expand that as much as possible. And one of my buddies, his name's Jeff, he has a fantastic framework around this. He says, I guide my kids into being the most them that they can be. I'm not trying to put anything on them or trying to shift them in any way. I want to expand who they already are, which is like, that's the way, for sure. Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I know that we can't be happy if we are trying to be something else than who we are.
Exactly.
Like tapping into who we really are
is
the
authenticity.
Greatest superpower. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm going to write that down. And as we're wrapping up, Justin, we could have chatted for hours because this is so interesting. What is the change that you are striving towards creating in the world?
I would say it's everything that we've been talking about. I feel that if we get people in general, especially kids my age, but people in general, clear on their life vision, get them to develop a plan that will get them there, and have them take daily action towards that, there's nothing but good that can come out of that. You know what I mean? So that's the big goal right now, is just helping kind of raise the collective consciousness of humanity, for sure.
Love that. So we're on the same mission, similar, same and different.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so you have so much exciting stuff coming out now. Where can people find you, follow you to learn more about the app that's coming out? Do you want to say
Yes.
anything about that as well?
That should be coming out in around June, July, August, somewhere in that sort of field. If you want to connect with me on social media, it's Justin J. Butcher on all of the social media platforms. Also, you can follow my podcast, which will be out by the time that this airs. It's called The Luminist Podcast. Again, The Luminist Podcast. And yeah, we're just trying to spread this this philosophy of what we call luminism. So yeah, that's about it.
I love that. I love your message, and I will do everything I can to support your mission.
Thank you very much.